Hello, we are live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. We are the Collective. This is the Collective Chat with Bonnie, Jennifer, and today we have Daken Tul. I am Kathleen Sherman, shamanic medical intuitive, coming live from my backyard today. Wanted to bring you some of the fresh air. And then we have Bonnie Burd. Go ahead, Bonnie.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Burd, and I'm a Akashic Record Reiki Master teacher. Glad to be here. I'm coming from my porch. My birds are quiet today, though. They're not present. Yeah.
I'm Jennifer Passavant. I'm an intuitive spiritual life coach, energy healing practitioner, and channeler of divine beings. And today, our special guest, as Kathy said, is Daken Tul. And he is a certified School of the Heart instructor, an emotion code practitioner, among many other things. So, Daken, tell us a little more about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. I appreciate you having me on the show. Being a part of anything with the three of you just opens me up, has my heart just totally start vibrating right away.
Likewise!
Yay!
It was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so 7 years ago, I would say is when I had my awakening and just recognized that what we're doing here is not really what I've been taught to be doing since, birth, essentially. So I was 34 years old when that happened, and just been opening up to that path ever since. And by doing that, honestly, it just happens naturally. You start to gain powers. There's no other way to say it. You start to become so much more in tune with your own body, your own energy. You start to challenge yourself in different ways that you don't do when you're, for lack of a better way of saying it, like sleepwalking. Once you get past that sleepwalking phase, you have no choice but to push in this direction because you know this direction for you is the truth. And by doing that and facing different fears, different challenges for yourself, you basically build a repertoire of ways of not only healing yourself, but healing others. And healing as a word in itself, I mean, I know a lot of people associate themselves as healers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, myself, even though I do technically help heal people, the people that I'm working with are really healing themselves. I'm just allowing the energy to be directed in a very specific way that I know works for that individual. So, I don't like when people give me their power by saying, hey, please help me, heal me. I said, no, I can help you heal you. And it's very important that people don't give away their power by looking at, people like us and what it is that we're able to do and what we can tap into. So I always, I use healing with a very, very carefully. So what I do is really all heart-based. And it was a distinction that I learned early on in that awakening within that first year of knowing that I had to be doing something different than what I've been doing for the first 34 years of my life. I had a dream, and we all have dreams, of course. We have 8 dreams a day. We usually don't remember any of them. Sometimes you remember 1 or 2, but 8 dreams a day didn't mean anything compared to this one dream in this one moment. I woke up and I knew that I had to learn to love every single person on the planet. And at that time, to wake up from that, knowing that it's the truth, it was a lucid dream where I was fully aware of my dream state. And there was no denying the sensation, the feeling of it. You know how we rely so much on words to convey information? It's such a slow process working with words. And I know that we need to, especially where we are right now, but moving forward, it's going to slowly shift more and more to you just feel it and you see it. And the combination of those two things, you have so much of a stronger understanding of what is actually going on in the communication that words just pale in comparison. So that dream was like that. I woke up with an experience where I knew this is legit. I had to learn how to love everyone. And it took me about a 7-month time period to get to that spot where I could honestly look at every single person in the eyes, having no fear about like really taking someone in through their eyes and knowing within my heart that it vibrated for them. It wasn't like my heart was like pumping for me. My heart was pumping for the people that I came in contact with. And you don't have to know them. Like I remember one of the big things with my ego trying to explain, how in the world do you think you can love everybody without knowing everyone? And the idea is everyone has this energy, this conscious energy that empowers them, whether you're awakened to it or not. So I see everyone immediately as my brother and sister without knowing anything about them. I don't even have to see them. It could just knowing that there's a space on the other side of the globe that exists and has, is called a home for certain people. I don't have to know them at all. I love them 100% unconditionally. And it was not an easy process, especially from like, a human viewpoint of it. It was not easy to get to that spot. But over 7 months' time, I went on this journey where I would not hold back. I would not look away from anything that felt uncomfortable. And without looking for a reward, I wasn't really looking for anything, except I just knew I needed to find out how to love everyone. I kept pushing and pushing. And once I got to a certain spot without knowing when or how it would show up, it happened. It clicked. And all of a sudden I said, oh my Lord, everyone is like just this incredible vibrational being. And I said, I'm the same thing. They're the same thing as me. When I look at them, it's like a mirror. There's no difference. And that was it. And I want to make sure the viewers understand too, it's not like it's an always constant thing. There's like, even with empaths, like I help people that feel a lot from everyone else and have trouble like dealing with that. I teach them that there's like a switch. You have an internal switch to be able to turn on your empathic abilities and use it when you need to, and to turn it off when you're being overwhelmed. So I have a switch as well with regards to how if I was to take in just love that is in, basically all around us all the time, I wouldn't be able to handle what I need to do here in 3D.
No.
It's like bliss state. I even, my partner, Nicole, she jokes with me. She's like, why do you not always have the switch on? I said, because I literally would not stay here that much longer. If I just had it on all the time, I think my ego would eventually kind of fade and dissolve, and I would wind up just moving somewhere else. So yeah, it's been a wild journey, that especially those first 7 months. And since then I've just been continuing to challenge myself. Anything that I feel is like, I wouldn't say it's fear vibration, but something that holds me back, where I say no up here, mentally up here in the brain, it's processing and saying, no, you can't do that. That's an immediate trigger for me to go, okay, I'm totally going to be exploring that. What did I
Yes.
go to? And how did it happen so quickly without my heart going, hey, let's figure out what's going on with this and see what we can do. So once I started doing that, that's when the repertoire began to build. And I recognized that I could literally generate this massive field, like a sphere around me. You do it intuitively anyway, but to be aware of it, it's so much more powerful as a result. And once I got aware of it, I was able to like expand it even more. I was like, oh my God, there's no limit. I literally have no limit with what I can do with this energy sphere. So I can push that out. I fill it with love. And when I work with people directly, that's one of the first steps that I do. I create a sphere of love and I connect with them, whether they're aware of it or not. If I'm working with like a light worker, they know right away what I'm doing. They can feel it. But someone that's not, been exploring that on their own yet, they may not be fully aware of what's happening, but it creates the most incredible space, like the perfect conduit to be able for me to read their energy and also to be able to help move their energy with them. So
when you have someone who is just beginning their awakening, and they're just searching, and they come to you and they can't find their way into meditation, they don't have a clue how to do that. How do you work with a person who is having trouble? All they see is black. They don't see anything else. And they can't feel the energy. So how do you bring them into the now to where they can feel and see?
That's a very good question.
Sense.
What I do first is I do a scan. I do like a body scan. So physical, emotional, and mental bodies. I close my eyes and I see better with my eyes closed than with them open. And I can see through those bodies and to see anything that's discordant. It usually shows up as um, like cords, entangled cords, and they're energetic cords. And when I see that, then I make sure I have permission. I always work with a person's, an individual's highest self. Um, it's funny before we started the live cast, we were saying like, there's so many wild things that are happening during our sessions right now.
Yeah.
And for me right now, there is no standard. I initially, when I first started, I wanted to make sure like, oh, I have a very specific way of going about doing what I do. And I've thrown that out in the past a half year, since like January or so of this year. 2020 has been a while, obviously it's been a while.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, so there's no real standard right now for me beyond always making sure I get permission from the person's highest self. So I do a body scan, I get permission. If I get permission, which I almost always do, then I can figure out through the highest self, what method do we use to release this energy for them, to allow it to align in a way where they can then be able to move forward, to be that much more fully aware of their own powers. So we were saying before during our prayer, my word is freedom. We each had a word that we shared. My word is always freedom. I stand for freedom, just like Saint Germain. He's one of my guides, my most talkative guide. He basically came to me first. Actually, Ganesha was first, but Saint Germain was the one that came right after and was so vocal. And he explained to me what we're experiencing here right now, and the shift of not only just balancing our bodies, balancing our minds, but from that, the next step is allowing ourselves to feel empowered with that level of freedom. Once we have balance, we have the ability to move forward in a way that we really don't have much understanding of right now. If we look back to past lives, way back, we probably have much more of an awareness of it. But right now, where we are, the energy and how heavy 3D is right now, it's kind of like we get glimpses of it, but we don't really hook into it in a way where we can just like go right into it. So with freedom, I want to make sure that everyone feels empowered to embrace exactly what they are. So we have to remember, we forgot, we come into this life not really remembering all that much. Very few people come in as infants and remember their past lives and remember exactly what their energy is. They kind of get ostracized for it, at that young of an age, and they develop a lot of their own stuff as a result of that. Yeah, so once I'm able to fix and work with their discordant lines of energy, I want them to remember exactly who they are. And I show them that based on information from the highest self. The highest self will share stories with me that make no sense to me. I have no idea what the connections are. I spoke with somebody about a pigeon on a beach. This is like 2 or 3 days ago for a session. And I just trust, 100% I just trust in what comes. I've done it enough where I feel that I can do that. But initially starting off, it's like, what am I even talking about? How is this even like legitimate, right? Yeah. And I explain at the end, I don't understand what this means, but apparently this is a story for you. And they go, I get it. It makes perfect sense. And we can move forward. It's like, okay, great, because I would be able to explain it for you, And once people are able to remember what they are, there's many different ways of doing it beyond, like in a session, in an individual session, it's important to hear certain stories from the highest self. But there's shamanic breath work that I do that I think is one of the ultimate in bringing like an incredibly powerful balance within 45 to 50 minutes. You just breathe, and I am like a drill instructor the whole time, holding you to that breathing process because your ego wants to pull you out because it is very intense. But once you commit, and I don't allow you not to commit. I keep you in it the whole time. And once it does ease out, you go on a journey. And when you come out of that journey, and it could last anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, after the 45 to 50 minutes of breathing, you got a 30 to 45 minute of just, you're somewhere else. When you come back from that, people look at me and they go, what the hell am I?
Yeah.
And I go, there we are. Now we can talk.
Yes. Yes.
Or we can have a legitimate discussion, except, beyond just like, if I was to go to somebody that didn't have that experience, either through getting the right verbal exchange from the highest self, those stories, or going through something like shamanic breathwork or a vital energy session. If they don't have that, it's very difficult to allow them to feel empowered with what they can create.
Yes.
And I mean, let's be honest, you guys know this better than anyone. All we're doing is creating. We're this absolutely incredible, unlimited force of creation. We are creation energy. And it's all, there's many words, we call it source, right? We call it consciousness. We call it the great spirit. You can call it anything, but literally what it comes down to is love that loves to create. And love is not just this, the definition that we give it as human beings. It's a very limited definition. Love, to give a very clear understanding of what I mean by that word, is everything that you know and don't know is love. Everything, whether it's tangible in physical form or things that you're aware of as concepts, just like ideas, as well as things that you have no idea about.
Right. You know what I find really interesting is that every single one of us, you described what we do, but we all do it in a different way through our own filters.
Yep.
And it's amazing because we're all trained by our guides. We're all trained by whatever we went out there and decided we wanted to learn. And it still comes together. Spirit work comes together in the same way because we're all humans and our consciousness works the way it works. And we're working in the quantums, and all of our tools are unique to us because of our filters. But it's really amazing that it just comes together just in the way that you just said it. But I could see because I've seen all of us work before, and I've seen you do your stuff on the talks.
Yep.
And so I can see all of us at work and what you were speaking. So it's almost like the language of spirit, the energy of spirit. So that was pretty amazing, and we thank you for all that. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Being able to connect like this, I've said this before, whenever I've had the opportunity to do this kind of thing, we need to connect more. What you guys are doing is a fantastic platform to bring people in to become more aware of different things that are outside of the norm, but are becoming more and more the norm, which is great. We need to be talking more. We need to be sharing more. We need to open up, and it's not about, any kind of, I think we're taught to have like some sort of need for compensation for any kind of information. And that's not at all what it's about. We need to share openly and freely to be able to work together to build and create. Like I said before, we're just creators. That's all we're doing. We need to be able to create in a way where it's so much more community-based, so much more support-based, so much more love-based, and sharing. When you share openly, and it's not just like me speaking right now at all, it's like every single person on the planet. When you share openly, everything comes back tenfold. And that's not the reason why you should be sharing openly.
No,
but you do it. You just do it because
it's just the way it works. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking the whole time you were saying that. It's almost like we're all on the same chord, because I was going to say, when you finish talking, when you share, you get 10 times more back. Oh, so that's so amazing. That happens to us every week. We get connected like that, and we finish each other's sentences.
That's where we're going, right? I mean, I really a short story, but the connections that we're all making by doing what we do, the finishing each other's sentences, the next step in 4D, becoming collective consciousness, It's such an amazing, like, how giddy do you guys feel like at the end of a show?
We do. We can't get off afterwards. An hour later, we're still talking.
Chatting away because you guys are feeling each other, and it's
Yeah.
it transcends what we understand as 3D, and it makes perfect sense because it is a fourth dimensional way of being, to be able to connect in a way where you know what the other people are thinking without even really knowing it. You're just speaking it, and it winds up, oh my God, I was going to say that. And yeah, I can't believe that. I was saying that too, you know?
I remember the first time that I took someone's hand, and because she said that I had done energy work before, but I'm not sure if it's meant for me. And I said, well, here, let me have your hand. And she gave me her hand, and I put it in my hand. And I just started speaking with love from the bottom of my heart. And all of a sudden, the love started coming down from spirit, and it was coming through my heart, and it was going right at her. And I was like, what is this? I mean, my heart felt like it was this big. And the girl goes, oh my gosh, she had a sweatshirt. I need to take this. Oh my God, I'm burning up. She goes, what is that? And I go, it's love. I go, isn't that amazing what God can do? I said, he really wants to know that energy work is for you. And she goes, I get it. I get it.
Duly noted.
And I don't know if a lot of people know that when we channel that energy through our bodies, we're getting all of that amazing energy. And you feel so amazing after you help people like that all day long.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing because we get the benefits too when we work with you, assisting people, through their paths and helping them. Just like Daken was saying, like we're putting our effort in too, though, but we're guiding you and helping you to kind of help yourselves.
Yeah, because Kathy's the one that made me realize that, because I kind of sound like Deacon, that I'm just the conduit and I'm standing there holding space. But she said to me one day, she says, you get up, you take it out of your schedule, you go in there and you hold the space and you hold the light so that you can hold space for them, and you do your shadow work so that you can continue to help them. So you are doing something. You are adding to the mix. And that kind of turned a light bulb on for me, because I went, well, I guess I am.
Yes, you are.
I guess I'm part of that too.
The way I see it is we're the middle one, kind of bringing in that energy but I'm putting my energy into it too. And it's like we're combining. What I see is spirits coming through me, and we're combining our energies and swirling into the person, like, because we're all combining, because we're all one. So we're just combining our energy to help them out. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I see it as like an opportunity to facilitate. The healing is all theirs, and they can take it or leave it. They can allow for it or not. But they came to us to help facilitate, like kind of get the ball rolling and get the energy moving and illuminate what might be, stuck in their energy fields, or, that they might not have been aware of, or could have been from a past life, or things that they thought they dealt with but really hadn't, or they did but the energy's still stuck in it. Like, there's so many things that you cannot be aware of, but when you seek out an energy healer, it's not because they're doing the healing so much as, like I was saying, we provide the opportunity and we help facilitate it. But it's kind of a team effort, but really it's all particularly with the person who the client, it's kind of their ball game.
Yeah.
But if you're not aware of the energies and all that good stuff, it helps to have someone kind of shining a light and say, well, you got this bit in your energy field, and you can go, oh yeah, actually, that's right, I do. And when you're aware of what you've got to work through, or what needs releasing, or whatever, it is so much easier to work through it when you know what you're working with. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Even I think it's important for people to know too that aren't doing any kind of light workers energy movement, like just how much is necessary for even light workers to be working on themselves. And
yes,
it's like especially something to share about what's more recently been going on. I am feeling everything everywhere. Everything that humanity is going through, I'm feeling it so much. And the only good thing for me is that I'm able to be aware if it's mine or if it's the rest of the world.
Yes.
And it's great because I'm aware that it's essentially humanity's, uplifting and dealing with letting go of all this energy. And I get to help do that, on my own, in my own way. No one knows about it. And I'm sure you guys are doing your own stuff in your own ways as well, in helping yourselves. But it's so important that it's not like they're on their own dealing with something crazy. We're all feeling different stuff, and we're all allowing ourselves to be open to it and letting it go.
And be vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. Being open and vulnerable to it. It's like you don't shy away from anything that you feel. That's one of the most
I always tell my students that when you're watching the news and you feel sad and you feel upset about it, you could do something about it. Just send a pillar of light and drop it down. Just love, keep sending it. And that's what you can do. You can help change everything by sending the love, and don't internalize that, because it's not yours.
Yeah.
And
Daken, what you were saying about how you've been feeling the emotions of everyone and everything, but you're aware of it, you know it. And that's when you are an empath and you are to the level where you can tell the difference, what you're doing is you're processing the emotions of the planet for people who don't have the ability to healthfully and constructively process it on their own, which kind of helps to temper the energy a little bit for the planet. And I'll tell you what, we're heading for a time where that's going to be that much more important. It's going to get that much more important for us to hold the light and not allow ourselves to get sucked into the anger and the fear and the division and the whatever, and try to kind of process and plant seeds of awareness too for people that are allowing themselves to be blinded by the division, the anger, the fear, the whatever, and are using that as a means to kind of lash out at people or end friendships or whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah, I know. It's perfectly stated. I completely agree with you. I've been shown a few years back, essentially the role of what we're doing right now is to hold vibration. We're not allowing the vibration to go down, and by holding it, like you said, we're allowing the light to continue to shine. And it becomes a beacon for anyone else that wants to allow themselves, a lack of a better way of saying it, to rise up, to allow themselves to basically reach that higher vibration as well. So it's a fantastic time. I mean, every moment that we have, I feel, is like a fantastic time. But it feels even more exciting now. I get to speak with a lot of kids, and their energy is so off the charts. Kids that are 17 years and younger, it's like the cutoff about 16, 17 years old. Oh my God, they're amazing. And to be aware of what they know intuitively, it's like, it just further confirms, yeah, we're here to hold the light. And the kids in this generation are helping to teach us, how to do it and how to do it in a way that's so seamless and so effortless. So it's been a wild ride the past 6 months.
And to be able to hold compassion for people who have inadvertently kind of taken the bait of allowing themselves to fall into a state of fear or anger, and then therefore inadvertently promoting division, because it's hard because they're behaving in ways that are ugly.
Yeah.
But when you can have compassion by saying, you know what, they're behaving that way because they're in a state of intense fear. They might be utilizing, guilt or shame or ridicule to get you to do what they think you should be doing. But they want you to do it because they're friggin' terrified. And when you can, and it's true, that's why they're being emotionally manipulative. So that is because they think that if you don't do that thing, the whole planet's gonna die or some god awful thing, but it's that level of but it's that level of fear, and which brings up that much level of anger and frustration because they can't control you and it pisses them off.
Yeah.
But when you can have that compassion and say, hey, you know, that person is obviously in a deep state of fear and that's where they're coming from, and then come from a state of peace and compassion and love and say, I understand the way you feel. You don't have to say you agree with it, but you can say,
Right.
I understand that you feel the way you feel, and you are entitled to it because that's what you've chosen to believe.
Mhm.
And that is not everyone can do that, and not, you know, even light workers have their moments of being triggered and getting pissed off when someone's pissed off at them, but it's part of our job of holding the light through compassion for those who are in fear and behaving inappropriately because of it.
And I say a lot, somebody that believes something different than what I believe, I always say there's no wrong way to any solution. There's many ways, many different avenues, and it's okay that we don't agree. That's all right. It's nothing to worry about. It's okay.
Absolutely.
I want to share something for the listeners. When they do come into contact or a situation with someone that is behaving in that way, like when I was telling you how I learned how to love everyone, one of the examples that I was given from a guide was when you hear someone in clearly an aggressive tone or a frustrated or concerned or fear-based tone, you have to understand that where they're coming from is not who they actually are. They're not speaking their true language, even though they would say that it is them. And it's hard for people to latch on to what I'm about to say because they may not have this experience. But I look at people where if they're coming out in negative tones and are fearful of not being able to control you and do what they think that you should be doing, you just have to look at them and go, oh, they're seeing from a slightly distorted viewpoint. They're seeing it through lenses that are appropriate for them, but have no impact on you if you choose not to let it have an impact. And what happens from that is you can move freely. I say this to clients sometimes with what they're dealing with. Let the emotion of what's pouring out from somebody else flow over you like water. Just let it come out like water. And you'll find that it doesn't wind up impacting, you don't take it in your body, you don't take it into your energetic bodies. Instead, it just kind of flows through. And you can look at them the way that Buddha would look at them and go, wow, like, look at this beautiful person. Look at this beautiful person with what they're going through. Isn't this exciting to see this? And what instead happens is you can be there. You might not be able to help them, and words probably aren't going to help. No matter what you say isn't going to help, ease the tension with this person.
Right.
But your inner glow from your heart has the ability of easing the situation. And whenever I come into contact with that, which isn't honestly that often now, but I'll just say, I love you so much and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I say
completely diffuses it.
and I say that I'll say, I appreciate you sharing, or thank you so much for sharing, because it's not about whether or not we agree.
Yeah.
They just want to be heard.
Yeah.
They just want to be heard.
And another thing that my guides taught me was, it's similar to what you do. It's like when someone's expelling all their fear and saying things that are negative, you just make a vortex in between you and the person, and it goes down. And then you let them go and let them go until suddenly it starts coming back up, and it's the pink light from the mother, and it goes right into their heart, and then they stop.
That's great. Yeah.
And
Why
then
did you
you're
have to
saying,
stop doing that?
why did I make you dizzy?
Because I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I want to share that I use pink light. And then you were like, and then the pink light. I was like, holy crap. And I want to say, whoever just put up the angry face emoji, if we're triggering you, that's okay, because
Gonna send you
I hope you just listen to everything that we just said about being triggered and angry, and know that if you're triggered, then that's something for you to look at. That's now an opportunity for you to look at, why did we just piss you off? It was probably me. I'm not gonna lie, it was probably me.
It could have been any of us.
But it's important for you to look at what just got triggered. It's not me in terms of, it's not the other thing or the other person or the other situation that needs to be looked at and changed. It's, why did you choose that response? Because
Yeah.
response was a choice. It may not have been a conscious choice, but it was a choice nonetheless, because you choose either consciously with a well thought out conscious response, or you knee-jerk react with an emotion that is a reaction from a wound or something that's in your energetic field.
Right. It's always something, everybody wants to look on the outside when they're upset.
Yeah.
But when you get upset, it has nothing to do with the outside world. It's whatever's going on within you.
Correct.
It's inside.
Yes.
Yeah. Always look inside for the answer, because that's where it's at.
Yes. So angry face person, that is an opportunity for you to look at that and know that we love you, and you are safe to share your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives, even if you don't agree, because the whole point that we were making is that it's okay to have different perspectives. What's not okay is to behave inappropriately and treat others in a way that is less than what you would want treated for yourself, when you feel that way. That is not okay. And so if someone is doing something that you believe, or isn't doing something that you believe they should be doing, or is doing something you think they shouldn't, and you use anger, resentment, emotional manipulation through shame, ridicule, guilt, that is not okay. That is not appropriate behavior. And there are other ways that you can approach the situation that will allow for mutual love, mutual respect, and mutual compassion. Yeah. So look at whether or not you're behaving in a way that you would want someone to treat you.
Yeah.
I always say, what's the healthiest thing for us to have happen? What's the healthiest way to be able to deal with what it is that I'm experiencing?
Yeah.
And something that's great about when people share things that are different than what I think, I look at that and I go, wow, look at this unique perspective that isn't anything that I most likely would have come up on my own. And I like celebrate that. I am thankful for that. Whether they're angry or annoyed, that's fine too. I don't mind that either. But it's great to be able to hear different ideas and different things that don't align with what you think, and to look at it with going, oh my God, this is more of the truth. Even if it makes no sense to me, no matter where it comes from or how it comes out, everybody's ideas just add more to the truth of what everything is.
That's a part of freedom, when you can look at somebody else's side of the story and not be triggered by it. When you can listen to their heart and hold space for them when they're upset, and be free to not be triggered. Mm-hmm. And so it's part of being sovereign. You find your freedom in that, and that's what we're practicing. I mean, we all get triggered still once we're human, but that's what we're practicing. We're trying to perfect being sovereign, and being free, because we're coming back to our freedom, because that was taken away from us. Exciting. And as we rise, the freer we get, and that's the most exciting part.
I can't wait, honestly, for how things continue to progress, because they're moving so fast now. And, like we were saying, things that we would use to work with people don't necessarily work as well as these new things that are coming up. There's so much new energy that keeps bubbling up, and it's like, oh my God, I have more stuff that I get to play with. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like you're used to saying to your spirit guide, oh, we're going to do this. And they're going, no, you're going to do this. And you're like, wow. It's so cool. It's so dorky, but I mean, really, it's cool.
Yeah, it is. It makes what we do that much more exciting.
Yeah. Look at Kathy, just like a genie, blinked into her bedroom.
It was so loud. I'm sorry. You could probably hear my husband's radio in the pole barn. He's out there working in it. I was like, yeah, I heard. I'm like, I got to go inside. It's too loud out here. So I came back.
We have our matched set of mandalas. So we're good.
Oh yeah, isn't that cool?
Good. And awesome. Kat, did you hear that we got our first angry face, or our first?
No, it's a second angry face. Remember we got one last
conversation, unless two people got pissed off. But I mean, you can't always get what you want.
Well, we're just triggering a healing. That's all.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, and we've all been down that road. We've all been through our awakenings. That's why we're, and we aren't perfect either. So we've all been through those stages where we were in a lower energy too. I was in a lower energy at one point, and once in a while we kind of go back to those. You kind of every once in a while go through another awakening, and you're like, crap, I thought I was done with this.
It's
No, you get
another
to do it
layer.
over and over again sometimes, which is just not always the greatest thing, but it's part of moving forward. And when you move forward, it's actually amazing each time.
Yes.
To walk through that new threshold. It's like getting to be reborn over and over and over and go, oh, I see. Yeah, veils. There've been veils one after another. And the first veil that my mother in spirit came and helped me remove that veil. And then I noticed later down the line, I'm like, crap, there's a whole bunch more of them.
That's just the beginning.
It's a never
I was really blessed this weekend because I had 2 masters today in my Reiki class. And yeah, it was so exciting. And they went, oh my gosh, we're masters. And they were holding up their certificates. And I go, guess what? This is the beginning.
Just the start.
Because now your guides are stepping in. This is just the beginning.
Mhm.
And they were like, oh God, I'm so excited. It was so much fun.
That's so funny. When I was in Sedona, I had my guides basically give me the award of master, and I remember thinking, I don't know what that means. Like I feel like, and I understand like what a master is, and I know I've been taught by certain masters, and I felt their energy very deep, and I'm aware of like what that feels like, but what it actually means is like there's so much more beyond. Like I think some of the most difficult things I have experienced were immediately after being given that title.
Yes, yes.
And I
The
was like,
title is just the threshold. You're just stepping into that realm.
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
And then all kinds of things start happening. You
Yeah.
know?
Stuff.
And
Amazing.
we're all really working on our mastery. Everybody's working on some form of their mastery. We're all in just different places. A lot of people, you have many, many lifetimes we're working on this. And so, for me personally, I've been a healer in many lifetimes where I finally saw that as I went through my awakening process. I could see some of the things, and I've accessed those things in this lifetime to be able to pull them all together and do one package, which is kind of cool. You get to do all the things, like you get all those things in your tool belt. You start working through all those things. But I didn't do that in one lifetime. I did it in hundreds upon hundreds of lifetimes where I went through some crappy stuff. You know what I mean? And we all did. And Bonnie, that kind of makes me think of you with your book that you showed me of things that you went through in different lifetimes that you told me about. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
It's like,
You say it and then ask. No, I'm kidding.
oh, it's okay. I didn't think she'd care, but it was it's kind of a cool, cool thing. Like and then they show me like when I started going into it, to see some of the stuff I've been or who I've been. I asked my guys to show me because I'm lucky in that aspect where I can see it. But they show me not all of it was great. When I was I was an Aztec shaman in one of my lifetimes, and trust me, that did not end well.
be careful what you ask for in your records, because I wanted to know what was holding me back, and they showed me a montage of being murdered in every which way you can imagine.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
For being spiritual or being a healer or being some sort of,
No
something.
doubt we've all experienced that. All like I think a lot of old souls who were already old souls back in those lifetimes when we would have been the community outcasts and the community crazy and the community weirdo, that the community witch, the you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We kind of still are sometimes.
You would be the one that they brought when somebody was really sick. They would bring it. They would bring them to you because you were their last resort when the little, country doctor didn't do what was necessary.
That was one of my lifetimes. I was a hermit in the woods because I was the spiritual psychic herbalist guy that was an outcast, and so I went and lived in the woods. And when the church's medicine didn't work, they would sneak away and have. So yeah, I'm sure all of us have had.
I had one
not
too.
That life, like not that exact, but like that very similar experience, something very close to it, because it was so common. And
Yeah.
that's kind of a part of our meat and taters of you know, like you were saying, the tool belt, the things that we're pulling in, we've all got that kind of thing in myriads of different ways from myriads of different lifetimes that we're sticking in our tool belt.
Well, yeah, but it's exciting because they'll open a new one that we didn't know we had. We're
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, I could do that. Wow.
Yes.
Pretty amazing.
Exactly. Or you'll have an interest, you'll be totally interested in something and not have any idea why you are interested in that thing until you discover a lifetime when you were someone who did that thing. And it's like, oh, you've already got it in your tool belt. You just didn't know where that came from.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
another thing too is like with all of us, how do you explain really what we do? Because it changes every day. You know, it changes every day. But
Yes.
except for the fact that we help people, we help with spirit, help people to heal. That's about it. Hold space.
And help them open up, because you have to do. So somebody was asking, Bobby asked what shadow work was. Shadow work is all those things in your past lives, or maybe sometimes in this life that didn't end well for you, or that you had a hard time with one way or another. Mine was a lot of different deaths in different ways. A couple of examples for me is since I can see past lives, I would have something that would hurt in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know if I should go into that one. I'll just talk generically. Some of them are kind of rough. I had one where I was killed for being a healer. I was a man, I was a healer. And I really, it was like a plague type of situation. And I actually helped a person heal with herbs. And so they basically called me a witch, and they said, you know, they were putting me to death, and off went my head, but not all the way. So, you know, that is kind of a thing where my neck was hurting. You wouldn't think that these are types of things. My neck was really hurting all the time. And with a lot of work in going into these past lives and seeing in many different lives, not just that one, that's only one out of the, 50 that I've done work on. That's all my shadow work is, me seeing that and going, oh, and then healing that from within. I even went back to that lifetime. You can go back to past lifetimes and heal yourself. And when you're healing yourself in that past lifetime, you're healing throughout all space and time, throughout all your lifetimes also. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of things that you can do that people have just no clue of. Yeah. And we all do it in different ways. You know, Daken, you could be healing somebody could heal themselves with breath work alone. They could heal themselves by tapping. Sometimes they're doing like a soul retrieval with me. And Daken, do you do soul retrieval type work also, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've done so many different modalities that have been taught to me from the earth directly or from the highest self of the individual. Things that I didn't know that I know, either from past lives or just because of the energy that's here right now. I feel like for all of us, there's nothing that's off limits. Everything is available to us within the moment. We don't have to learn the way that we were taught to learn, like, standard book smarts, or like you have to retain this knowledge and be taught by, someone specific. Not that those things aren't important, but it's so available. Everything's accessible. And we're going to learn that more and more as we continue in 4D. And
another part of the shadow work is the woundings, the things. Oh God, sorry, Jen. it's the wound.
Get away, Bonnie.
It's the oh my God, it's the things that you're going through that you've from childhood in this lifetime, even with the past lives, because you're working with that too, dealing with that too. But the things that happened to you that, you stuffed somewhere, put it in your body somewhere, stuffed in your heart. And this energy cannot live in this lifetime. So we have to release it. And we have to allow the healing to happen in order for you to, for your energy to rise, so your wisdom to come in. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, Jen.
That was great. God, I love how we do that. But I'm gonna jump on the back of what you just said, and add to that aspect of the shadow work in terms of how you know what shadow work needs to be done. And the most obvious is what Bonnie was talking about with your wounding in this lifetime. And you'll know you need healing if you are triggered. And that can be either I shouldn't say made to be, because you choose your response, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, but if you are hurt by something, if something makes you angry, if something offends you, if you become highly emotional, if you are holding on to resentment, all of those things, if you can look at where you're triggered or where you're holding on to these more dense emotions and these dense energies, that's where you can start focusing your shadow work, because that's the most obvious place to start, because it's something you're keenly aware of. Like, oh, someone says something and you took it personally because you thought it was a dig and you got really upset. Look at that, start there.
Something's
Because
deeper.
you're taking it personally is you're choosing, it is because that poked a wound, it triggered a response, and it's allowing you to it's like kind of bringing that to light. So just look at that. I'm going to shut up because I feel like.
Well, it's bringing it to the light. It has to come to the surface in order to be healed.
Yes.
You got to bring it out in order to be
Shining
healed.
a light on it.
Yeah.
And
so,
tapping it,
and then
tapping it down. Oh, sorry. I'll just
Go
talk.
ahead.
Tapping it down just makes us ill eventually. And it's like, and a lot of times I'll see things in people's bodies because that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And I see like dark black gunk and stuff like that. That's from pushing that stuff down, pushing it down, and it goes into our energy field and it stays there and it makes you sick after a while.
Yep.
Sorry, Bonnie, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. You're just saying part of what I was going to say. It's so funny. But it's also, with working in the quantum, it's always connected to other lifetimes. So when you heal something here, you heal all the way back to the other lifetimes. And also when you do Akashic read, when you go back to the other lifetimes, it comes back to this lifetime. So it's like, it heals in all directions of time. So anytime you get past a huge wounding, it's always an upgrade, because you're going to receive more light when you've released that.
I want to make a distinction for people, the difference between feelings and emotions. Because it's very important, because there's a space there's a window of opportunity before a feeling becomes an emotion, where you can build muscle memory for yourself to keep yourself from being triggered and becoming like reactionary to whatever it is that you're feeling. And if you are able to do that, a feeling just kind of moves. You kind of get a sense for what it is that you're taking in, and you can allow it to move out. And if you don't, then there's the opportunity, and depending on what the situation is, sometimes people can be going through some sort of traumatic event, and it's very difficult not to have those feelings turn into more solidified emotions. And if you don't deal with them appropriately, then they can kind of stay in your body in some areas. And that's when illness and, becoming frustrated and pissed off at things you don't understand why starts to happen. So developing some sort of memory with regards to when you feel something, just open up to the feeling and see how you feel within the feeling. I had a master once tell me the most amazing thing that people don't do is allow themselves to feel the feelings. And I took that very strongly early on in my searching when I was doing some heavy seeking. It's like such a simple idea, but just to feel the feelings. You'd be surprised, like how many people don't do that. They just don't allow themselves to like open up to feel it, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And if they were more open to doing that, they'd have the ability of kind of maneuvering around it, or looking at it in a way where they can not let it have power over them and turn into like these heavy emotions,
right?
Where they start acting in ways that isn't truly who they really are.
Well, if you think about your emotions and your feelings as a barometer to whether you're connected to the light, when you start feeling sad, you're in the lower energies, you're in the lower part of the scale. It spirals down. And when you feel happy and joy, you rise up. And so instead of being afraid of your feelings, not wanting to feel them, figure out where you're at and decide whether it's something you want to keep or not keep. And then you let it flow through you, just as you said earlier. You let it flow on out.
Or
Um,
heave out of you, with some ugly crying.
right.
And
Well, we're all human, and we get angry. But we're allowed to feel that, but
Yeah.
just don't stuff it inside. Let it flow out afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Let it turn into light.
That is such a huge part of my healing process, is when the feeling comes up. And it's frustrating for me when I'm in a situation where I can't allow the feelings out because I desperately want to. Because when those feelings arise, for me, I want to dive down deep into those murky waters and swim, whether it's anger or like the heaving ugly cry. I just want to feel it, because when you feel it, that's it coming to the surface and releasing from your energetic field. And so for me, if I'm in a situation where I'm with people I don't know or whatever, I don't want to do it then. I want to do it in my private ugly cry room, or whatever it is. But it's been a huge part of the healing process of finding even finding ways to trigger myself to make the feeling come up, whether it's you think about the situation that can trigger the feeling, and you go back into the memories of who did what or who said what, or something horrible that happened, and you feel, it's like you can feel it in your body, almost like an unlocking, and then the emotion rises up, and it's literally like an eruption when it comes out. And then when it comes out, like you were saying, Kathy, about tampering it down, don't do that. Let it come out in its most powerful form. Just let it out, because otherwise it's like putting a cork in it. Like you shook a bottle of pop or something like that, and you just put a cork in it.
That's what Kathy said earlier to me. She said, she was explaining it just like that. So it was, you pulled that out of her field.
So funny.
Connection, guys.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I know where you are.
Yeah, that's so funny. But yeah, definitely when you are going through all that, and the emotion, understanding your emotions and knowing that you don't have to be afraid of them. It's okay to feel them. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to ugly cry. It's okay to throw a tantrum, but come back to center when you're done.
Yeah.
Come back to grounding yourself and connecting to the light, and bring in the wisdom. What did you learn from that? So you don't ever do it again. What did I get? What did I learn?
Yeah.
And that's the amazing part about going through all this stuff. And it seems like when you're going through it, it's the worst thing in the world. But then the next day you're like, oh, piece of cake.
It's so it's like when you're a little more fresh, like not so much the next day, but like the minutes after, when you've either had you've been punching your pillow, or screaming your head off, or ugly crying, or whatever it is you did to emote, to release that, a peace comes over you. It's like,
yeah, isn't that the most amazing thing? Even when
weight of emotion.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even when you're with a client and you just feel them shift.
Yeah. Like an opening.
Wow. Yeah. You could see it on their face. You could see the way they hold themselves.
Yes.
It's so amazing.
Yes.
So amazing.
There's so many.
Go ahead.
There's so many ways you can release that energy too, and that's the cool thing when you work with spirit, is they just show you. You guys probably all know, it's always like different for every person with me, and I kind of talk people through a lot of stuff, but it's almost always different. One thing, it's like pulling out energy with one way or another, spinning out chakras backwards, like it's the gamut of stuff. And I think that's the cool thing about working with spirit, is they help you with the person, guiding them on how the best way is for each person, because everybody's different. Bonnie does amazing meditations, and Daken, I need to do one of your meditations too. I haven't done one yet.
Yeah, you should.
But I remember, Bonnie, this was one of mine, and both my parents have passed, and I remember it was last fall?
Yeah.
Last fall, and I'm sitting in,
She's in this big group of people.
Big group of people, and it's like we did this heart healing, and both my parents came in, and I was like, I was like just freaking.
She was just ugly crying. I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. And then, but then I felt happy because I knew you finally let go of a huge wounding.
Yeah.
And she said, she calls me later. I'm so embarrassed. I go, why? Why? That was amazing. You had a huge healing. And
I
it
don't
really
think
was.
I don't think it bothers anybody, but you know,
No,
I did
because
that in front of a room full of people. So you know what I mean?
I
well,
know
that happens a lot
I know
in the circle, in the meditation circle. That happens a lot. People,
Yes.
we have to have Kleenexes.
I had a bawling session in front of like 40 people once, and it was just one of those things, you know, being a man, you're not supposed to like cry. I have no problems doing that.
Yeah. Well, that's such not the truth.
We love men who are willing to feel. So good for you.
Gotta do
Daken,
it.
I would like to broach that subject. I see that a lot with men that I work with, doing readings and healings and stuff like that. What would you have to say about that in more detail? Would you want to talk about that in more detail? Because
Sure.
men just seems to me, from my aspect and my viewpoint, is men seem to, from childhood, be taught, you know, you have to be the man, you have to be tough, you can't show any emotion ever. I have to be the breadwinner, I have to provide for everybody. And it just seems to just be they just end up unraveling slowly throughout their lifetime until they just go to a breaking point. To me, that's what it seems like to me.
Or
Yeah.
they take it out on their body. Their body's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be honest. I've always, since being a kid, have always been very emotional and wear my heart on my sleeve. I've never really had something where I felt like I couldn't. And I basically associate this with my parents. There was nothing off limits to be able to discuss with my parents. I don't know how they created that atmosphere. They were both very loving with each other, and both me and my older brother. So I guess maybe growing up in that, it was like I never had this pretense where I had to like bottle it all up and hold it in tight. I was always able to express myself. I've always had an artist background, always wanting to create things. So I never held that back. But I had friends where, especially being an empath as a kid, I could tell like they held on all this energy. And you know, knowing what I know now with regards to what men typically have to go through, not all men, and it is vastly improved since like I'd say early 2000, and especially since 2012. It's like there's a major shift. If you feel like you can't express yourself, you have to just look at what it is that you're telling yourself. What's the internal monologue? You know, it's not you, it's the ego talking essentially. And if you write down what you hear up here, then you have the ability to kind of dig deep into it. You can interpret what it is that is being set up here. And what it was for me in certain instances when I wasn't able to move forward with certain stuff, because I had very strong definitions of what life was supposed to be. So I had to break definitions. But if you're not having the ability as a man to express yourself and to be really in tune with your emotions, write out what it is that you feel yourself saying up here, and then give yourself some time to interpret. Where is this dialogue coming from? Where are these internal sentences coming from? And you can also, you know, work with people like us to help you make the connections. It's usually either something from past lives or things that you experience within the first like 14 years of life. Within that span of time, it's like you were taught a certain way of being, and it doesn't really match up and resonate with what we are beyond the human being. You know, what we are is this infinite power of consciousness. And it takes a little, you know, leap of faith to get to that point where you know that within your heart. But that's the first stop, essentially. You need to look at what it is that you're saying to yourself inside and see how it connects to things that you experienced as a young kid.
yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
So,
Yeah.
Bobby, she says, being an empath is very different and hard to understand. How can you control all the emotions when you are in public? And I'll start, but all of you I know have a lot to say on that subject because we're all empathic to some degree. So for me, I know that it's not mine. I've gotten to the point where I know that it's not something that's mine that I'm feeling, so I can become a neutral observer. I can allow it to pass through me and I'm aware of it, but I don't have to respond from it. I don't have to actively attach to it and then emote it. I can just let it kind of move through me with an awareness. And it allows me to kind of gauge my surroundings. So I use it as a tool and a way to better interact with people, because I know I'm picking up on the energy of the room or the energy of the people in the room. And so you're better able to interact with people when you know where they're energetically coming from. And that's the whole point of being an empath, is I can now be empathetic because I am empathic. And so that's my tactic. And then I also ground like a mofo.
Well, for me, it's like I first say, I'm feeling upset or nervous. Is this me? You ask the question, and then you realize, no, it's not me. And so then just bringing yourself into the now and just putting your fingertips together brings your auric field in. So if you just put your fingertips together, or imagine that you have angel wings and you're just bringing them in to bring them in close to you, that brings that energy around you so that you don't feel as vulnerable. And when you do that, because I mean, we're all usually way out here with our energy field. Mm-hmm. But if you bring yourself into the now and bring it in a little bit, bring your energy field in a little bit, then you're not feeling as much. It's like you're turning the dial down. Yeah. So think about it as turning the dial down a little bit until you are out of the grocery store, or wherever it is you're at, or at work, and then shine it out as soon as you can get out of there, put it back out. But I mean, that's just for people who are just learning and they can't do what you do, Jen, because what you're doing is like what a master level person does.
Oh,
yeah. So I mean, that's just the beginner thing. And like with Kathy, she shines hers out, always way out, and then she soars above it. And that's what you start doing when you're starting to master it. And that's the way I see it.
And it's funny, I asked Spirit to show me when Jen was talking, and I was like, what do I do? Because I tend to not have issues anymore when I go in public. And they showed me, I'm shining my light so much that it kind of dissolves any lower energies that come at me. So
you're curing the place, you're healing it.
Yeah. And so when you come in like a lighthouse and you shine that light, you're helping actually others to kind of feel better at the same time too. I asked him to show me in my mind so I could see, but I didn't realize I was doing that until I just asked Spirit to show me.
And you're also sharing your keys and codes, and with when they're ready, theirs will open up. Because sometimes Spirit will ask, because we all can do what Jen is saying. They'll ask us to go somewhere where there is upset, and you're like, I don't feel like going to the store, but all right, I'm going to the store. And then once you get there, you feel that energy, and you realize, because you start shining your light, you realize you were needed there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, for sure.
For me, what I do when I feel any kind of energy that feels a little bit discordant or lower vibration, I immediately recognize, one, that I'm not in my heart. So I drop into my heart. And once I'm there, there's no denying where the energy is coming from, if it's internal or if it's external. And if it's internal, I have my own system essentially to allow myself to let that go like that. If I recognize that it is external, like you said, Bonnie, which is fantastic, the turning the dial, that's exactly what it is. Within this space, you have a dial that you can play with, and everyone has a different way of accessing it. If you don't know how to do that, that's something that people, like us, can teach and show. And it's usually very simple and straightforward. It's not like a difficult process to do. And yeah, just being in the space when you recognize that it's external, I think, Kathleen, it's perfect. When you are in your heart, you're shining your light out. And that saying that you hear, like, how do you help the world? Because, if you're, a caring, loving individual, which the majority of the planet is, you want to be able to help the world. And it's like, you can try to do it in an external level, like, through politics or, doing some sort of community work, which is all has the potential to be fantastic, but work inward, allow the light that you have inside and get comfortable with it in a way where you can shine it as bright as what Kathleen is explaining. And you're taking care of that space. You're clearing that space. You're moving it in a healthy way where it not only helps you to be out in that space, but it helps the people that are around you. So I would say go into your heart. And there's many, many different ways to get into your heart. It's very straightforward and simple too. Just like the idea of turning the dial down, if you're feeling too much energy, you have the ability of getting into your heart to really figure out what's going on here and where is it coming from.
Yeah. Hey,
Good.
Jen.
I have like 5 things going on right now. You were just talking about getting into your heart, and one way that you can do that is to touch your heart and take some deep breaths, which is where I want to go in a minute, Daken, with you.
Sure.
But Patrick Michael says, I constantly have to remind, I don't know why I still have my hand up. I constantly have to remind myself to stay in the now, meditation at least twice a day, which is, that's enormous help. And then Bobby says, I play with my fingers and hands a lot. And, you know, I could kind of pick up on your energy, just kind of putting myself into your energy field. When you're in those moments of playing with your fingers, there's a lot of anxiousness and anxiety. And that's where I feel, and this one's for you, Daken, breath work is a really great way to ground yourself. And it is, like Patrick was saying, to me, breath work is like the #1 meditation. Breathing is meditating if it is focused breathing. And so, Daken, I know that's something that, like, it's breath work for me is an enormous part of what I do and how I work with energy and how I channel. And I think that's true for everyone on some level in this group, and probably for a lot of the viewers. But Daken, you do a lot of guided breath work. And so can you speak to how breath can be used for when you're in a moment of anxiety and you don't know how to manage and things like that?
Sure. Oh, my pleasure. Let's think really quick why breath is so important. All right. If you stop breathing for what, 2-3 minutes, that's it. That's the end. So it's like, you know, it's breath is #1, water is #2, and salt is #3. Yep, exactly. You need to have good, healthy, clean water. Yep. Many bottles, as Jen just showed us. So the reason why breath is so important, the reason why we're designed to take in breath so consistently is because spiritually we wouldn't be able to continue. The reason why breath is part of our design is because breath is spirit. I know we think of it as oxygen, right? That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. Sure, there may be some sort of component that we can identify with breath being oxygen. It is so much more than just that. So I know we use the word like prana for energy. There's prana without question in our breath, what we take in through the mouth. But it doesn't only just come in through the mouth and into the lungs. It literally, with our intent, can go anywhere we want it to. So it's a cleansing connection to spirit is what it winds up being. So if you want to choose to breathe in through your heart, your intent will trump the physical aspects of the body and how it brings it in through the mouth and into the lungs. Okay. So if you're saying my intention is to breathe in through my heart, it will literally impact your heart first, and then it will take care of physically the rest of the system. If we didn't have that, we'd lose connection with spirit. And we feel so separate from spirit when we're not, doing what we do, right? If we just were to be lost in the story of being a human being on Earth, we'd have no idea of what the hell, what we're doing here, how we do it. So breath is just the standard way of doing it while we're sleepwalking. We're connecting with spirit, not knowing by breathing when we're not really aware of us being pure consciousness. So that's the importance behind breath. A very simple thing that you can do to allow yourself to ease whatever your level of anxiety is. If you're not familiar with your chakra energy centers, just go online, take a quick look at where they are. Being aware of where they are physically within the body along the spine helps you to be able to be that much more impactful with the breath that you do. And what I do is let's simplify it. Let's use the heart as the example. Like I said, breathing in directly to the heart. What you do is you can always feel your heartbeat. Jen, what you said is 100% on point, and it's so powerful, and people don't know it. There's 2 chakras within the heart chakra. The lower third of the heart chakra is the unconditional love space. And the upper 2/3 of the heart chakra is individual love. So it's love for one thing. Those two chakras exist within the whole full heart chakra. Now, if you go to that lower third, it's basically your plate right here, right where your rib cage begins to curve down, that center point. If you go up about 1.5 inches, you're going to feel a very sensitive space. Don't overthink it for anyone that's trying it right now. Just gradually find that position, gently bring your thumb up, and you're going to feel sort of a shift in comfort level. It'll be a little uncomfortable. It's very sensitive. Yeah. And when you hold that space, you can become very connected with that unconditional love space in your heart chakra. So especially just first starting off, you do that and you allow yourself to connect to your heart through that spot. And when you breathe in with the intent, I'm breathing in through this space, you can just close your eyes because that tends to be a lot more natural. You connect not only with your heart that way, but your third eye begins to open up a little bit more when there's no light coming in through your two external eyes. And you just breathe with the intent, I'm going in through this space into my unconditional love heart chakra. Whether you breathe in through your mouth or your nose, doesn't matter. Just keep that intent and that presence on that space that you're touching. And you can do this in public and not feel strange. I know some people might be like, I can't do that. But if you're feeling heavy anxiety, you might need to do this. So don't hold back. There's no reason to feel uncomfortable about it. And just keep with that intent and that presence on that space, breathing in through your heart. It usually only takes about 3 breaths where this space begins to fill in and allow your heart to expand. And it literally brings your calmness level to a very nice balance. If you practice this on your own at home, do anywhere from you can do 20 repetitions if you want to, just to get very comfortable with it. So when you are out in public and you're like, hey, I don't really want to do this now, but I have some experience, you can do 3 breaths just with that intent, and it will bring you to a spot where you're like, okay, I can move forward. I can actually, do what I need to do and not be impacted by this overwhelming anxiety. So.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I feel like I get a lot on this one. So I noticed that for people who tend to hold on to a lot of anxiety and tension, they breathe very shallowly and they hold a lot of tension in their stomachs, their diaphragm. They'll even walk around with their gut tight and they won't even notice that they've got their gut flexed. Yeah. And so they tend to breathe from their chest, which means they're breathing really shallowly. And like you were saying, Daken, the prana, the chi, the shakti, the pick your term, the key, whatever you want to call life force, spirit, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. The breath of life is literal, and that's why you can become a breatharian and only live on breath. But when you're breathing in your chest, you're not getting much because you're only using just this part of your lungs. And so can you talk about the proper way to breathe so that you're breathing not particularly deep down into the lungs and really filling up the whole sac so that you can feel your chest expand and kind of go blah. And I feel like, to me, when my chest expands, because you're opening up this whole section, it's opening up your heart more, right? Don't you think?
Oh, completely, yeah.
I'll set up, go ahead.
And no, it's a very good point, because this is literally like a textbook full of information with regards to breath. It seems so ridiculous, right? That, oh, I know how to breathe. Of course we all know how to breathe, but ultimately what we are losing as a result of just being so focused on doing things all the time, we forget and have forgotten how to breathe in a way that's truly healthy for us to be as spiritually balanced as we can be here on the planet. So yeah, there's so many different methods for breathing, but I will share one of the best. It's not easy to do at first, but if you keep up with it, like anything else, right? Someone was talking about meditating twice a day and that they need that to be able to move forward. It's so important to have a standard practice. Every single one of us on the planet should have some sort of practice that's health-based for you. You know, some people are very active and they like to go for a jog every morning or every other morning. You know, some people are, you know, they like to play basketball and that's their thing and they do that every day. That kind of a workout for the physical body is very important. There's also mental aspects. So sitting down to meditate, and specifically in this case, what I'll show you for breathing, very important to maintain the practice. Be disciplined. There's tremendous rewards for making sure that you do something consistently. And you might think like, oh, I'm getting minimal benefit from it. If you keep going and keep going and keep going, it's going to get to a spot where it literally opens up a totally new spectrum of space for you to play in. Like earth-shattering levels of a totally new thing that you can be playing in. So don't give up on whatever seems like it's not doing that much. Stick with it, no matter what it winds up being. If there's something that you feel is resonating, but you don't feel the benefits, keep going and it eventually will open up. So with that said, I'm gonna share reverse breathing. What you do is within the gut area, you're pulling in. So you inhale and you bring the stomach, the abdominals inward. It's called reverse breathing. And we did this as infants. In the womb, you breathe in, or you breathe in a reversed way. So the inhale is deep, you pull your abdominals in, and when you can't pull in anymore, you still have plenty of capacity to pull in more prana, to pull in more air. And what happens is it comes up your spine and opens up your chest. So it's pulling in through the abdominals, tucking the abdominals in, and as you continue to do the inhale, bring it up your spine and into your chest. And then you hold it. You don't let it out right away. You want to use what you pull in to its fullest potential and its benefit. And you're going to see you raise your vibration just by breathing alone. So I'll do like 2 repetitions just so you can see, you know, the timing, and you can change it to whatever feels right for you, but just the general of how I do it and how I practice this every day. So it's inhale. I'm holding, and then I release. And then my stomach comes back out. One more time. And then I release back out again. And that's what appears to be simple. When you do it more and more, you realize there's plateaus to that simple breath. You do that for a few days, you're like, wow, this is actually pretty interesting. There's something there. And then something's going to happen when you continue to do this within your practice, and you're going to go, oh my God, this is like opening up something that I didn't know was possible. For me, when I started doing this, bringing the energy up my spine by tucking in my abdominals, literally was bringing the prana directly to my third eye without me having that intention. And then my third eye started becoming like hyperactive, and I started seeing things in ways that I hadn't before. And if I didn't have my guides, I really wouldn't have understood what was going on, but they explained to me why the reverse breath was, you know, having the impact that it was, and what that revealed for what I could do moving forward. Being able to see with your third eye is a really amazing thing. And it can happen just by breathing, you know?
And that technique is,
I noticed that when I have someone that comes in for a session who's in the victim consciousness, if you immediately go with the breath and you talk them through every one of their chakras and release, you know, breathing through every chakra and grounding them and connecting them, then they can see the real story. They're seeing that they're making up an illusion, that it's not real, that it's their fear that they're living in. Yep. And it's amazing how fast they shift and go, oh my gosh, I'm doing this to myself. Oh my gosh, you know, and it's like, yeah. Because I mean, when you got somebody that tells the same story over and over and they can't stop, the first thing I always do is say, let's calm down and breathe for a minute. Yeah. Because I have an agenda. I'm connecting them so that they can see the real story.
And going into the chakras, like you said, is great. One of the things that I do when I hold meditations with a group is I start off, because a lot of these people are already fully aware of the chakra system, and at the very least, they're aware of the main 7 ones. And what I have them do is I have them become very present to the 7 chakras, and the intention is they're breathing either in through the front of each chakra simultaneously, or they're breathing in through the back into the chakras simultaneously. And then we just go back and forth with that. And what happens is they have this incredible balance that puts them in a spot where they're really open to commit to the meditation. I always use the word committing to meditation because sometimes the ego and the mind, if what I'm guiding them in the meditation doesn't present itself to them, they get lost and they get frustrated and they get pissed off that they're not able to like feel or see what I'm showing them through words, right?
Right.
So that
They say I'm in the dark. I see nothing. I get nothing.
yeah,
And they get all upset. You're
Yep.
like, okay, let's breathe.
Yeah,
Let's breathe.
exactly it. I do that right away from the beginning, and it really sets everybody up to have an experience that they're hoping to have.
Yeah. Definitely
gonna-
breath work is a part of mine too. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was going to say also, when people say they can't see things with us, a lot of times they don't realize that they get information a little differently than we do. So everybody gets psychic information differently. And most people I always brushed it off all my life, and then realized once I was like, opening myself up, I was like, oh, I've been getting information. I just didn't. I expected it to be one way, and it came in a different way.
Yeah.
So that a lot of times when, if when we're working with clients and stuff like that, we'll be like, okay, so that's another thing that I'll say is, are you getting something different? Or are you feeling it? Or are you seeing it in colors? Or, you know what I mean? It's totally different. It doesn't have to be what I see.
Yeah.
That's the really fun part about it is everybody has a different way of seeing and getting information through their third eye or seeing through their eyeballs or whatever. So that's the fun part for me, is to go, okay, ooh, let's find out how you can see. So
a lot of times in meditation too, you might be guiding the meditation and you're doing all these things, and then somebody over here is doing something else, somebody's over here doing something else when you're doing a group. And that's the amazing thing, is because your guides and your angels will come and do what you need to do. And you're still getting all the energy and all the stuff from what the facilitator is doing, but also you're getting it through your filters, because everybody has their own personal energy language, and they may sense it, they may feel it more. Somebody may see colors more. Somebody might actually see it like a movie. That's the amazing part, but not, or it just goes in and out. But everybody has to use all their senses in order to bring it together. And a lot of times people don't understand that,
I had some ceremony that would keep seeing black. They'd come out of a journey and they'd be saying, I just see black. I was like, trust me, you got exactly what you need. I said, you're not able to interpret what it is that what the full feeling was that you experienced. Trust me, it's not just black. And over time, he came back to me eventually and said, oh my God, I get it now. And there's a long story here, but essentially it's like, I get it. I get why it was presenting this way. And, we all wind up getting exactly what we need.
Well, sometimes they're analytical too. If you're going at it with color and creativity and imaginary, then they're not getting that, because they're thinking in numbers or in shapes, or also if you with an analytical person, you never count. For me, I've learned, because if you start counting, all they're thinking is the numbers. So the angels with me, they usually will have somebody who's more analytical like that. They'll just start raising them. They'll just start raising the vibrations so that they relax and stop this monkey mind going, so that they can move forward. So there's all these different little tools that they give us for stuff like that, which is amazing.
Yes. So for me, my go-to, which is my favorite way to relax and raise my vibration, is something, I don't remember how long ago it was that I was taught this, but it has been an integral part of my channeling and holding energy and raising my vibration. And it's completely changed the way I breathe. I do not breathe the same way anymore because of this. But it's something called the 3-part breath. Are any of you guys familiar with what this is? It's like pranic, it's called pranic breathing. Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So what it is when you first inhale into the bottom part of your lung, and that's when your diaphragm comes out. And then you keep breathing and your chest will rise. And then you fill even up to this top part of your lungs. So your shoulders go up and it really elongates the breath. And I find that the longer your breath, the longer you can kind of stretch it out, which is where the, the Ujjayi breathing, which is where you lower your epiglottis, your soft palate just a little bit. So the air makes kind of a, like you know, when your mom would be angry and she'd go, you could hear the exhale. Do that. That's exactly what that is. But you do it with your exhale. But when you inhale, and it's hot, if you've not breathed this way before, it's super foreign and it's really weird. But it will absolutely change your breathing. And you inhale into your diaphragm, so it's like and then into your chest. And then into your shoulders. And you exhale in the opposite way. So you exhale this first, but when you don't pause, like you don't go step 1, step 2, step 3, unless you feel like you need that when you're first starting to kind of get it in your mind. But it becomes like a flow, like a rhythm. So it's like I don't know, it feels like a wave when you inhale and exhale this way. And I do what's called, it's rhythmic breathing, and you can do it to whatever rhythm feels comfortable for you. But I start with the 6-3-6-3. So I inhale with a 3-part breath to a count of 6, hold to a count of 3, because honestly, the holding of the breath is like the key.
Yeah.
And then exhale to a count of 6, hold to 3, and you can do 8-4-8-4, you could 5-10 5-10, whatever works best for you. And if you do that Ujjayi on the exhale and really elongate the breath, I have gotten to the point where because my guides control my breathing a lot, they have had me stop breathing because I've been able to pull in enough oxygen and hold it in my blood where it's like, we're just going to let it move and do its thing. It's like my body's like, you don't need to breathe right now. We got this, boo-boo. You're golden. But it is amazing the energy that can come through and the things that open up, and it's just incredible. So that's my go-to breath work trick.
Another trick too is that when you exhale, you make a noise. You just make that, not just that one noise, but let go like that. Like that. Yeah. So then you just let the energy just roll off of you. Whatever you're carrying around, just let it roll off. But making that noise for some reason helps the energy move.
The what you were saying, Jennifer, the reverse breath that I was showing, that's the 3-step breath essentially, like you explained, only breathing in, pushing the abdominals in.
Yeah.
It's the same idea. When I was saying like bringing up the energy through the spine, and up high and then holding it, it's the same thing. It's not, and like you said, it's not like you're stopping like part 1, part 2, part 3 breath. It's all one rhythmic breath moving up.
Yeah.
You will sometimes bring your shoulders up a little bit and then hold it, bring it back out. That's exactly it.
And that's isn't that like Tibetan Qigong or something to that effect?
Yep, it's definitely connected. But there's so many variations of different types of breathing. But yeah, there's definitely a connection to that. Also with the sound, generating a little bit of sound on the inhale and the exhale, it amplifies the prana, it amplifies the energy. So when I'm doing breath work with people in a group session, that's one of the 7 things that they have to do to make sure that they allow themselves to open up to journey. On their inhale, it's and on their exhale. And you'd be surprised how many people they like hold themselves back. Like they're so uncomfortable in making sound. And it's funny, like I don't yell, but I am very stern when it comes to, you need to generate sound. Like what's holding you up? Like, let's vocalize here without using real words. Like, create sound. This is like, the whole body is a gift. Our body, like if you think of like the movie Avatar, there's no real difference there. I'm so aware of, I'm just like an actor in this movie of life. And I am moment to moment so aware of my body, of just being this cool thing that I get to play with. I literally get to play in interacting, using this as my like tool to figure out, what do I want to do? What resonates with me? What energy do I want to put out there? When you look at your body like that, there's no holding back with what you can create. So it's pretty wild that if we have this incredible gift, this physical, mental, emotional body, and it has the ability of vibrating with this voice.
Yes.
This is like the ultimate creation tool. Why do we hold ourselves back from really like utilizing it? People are so shy and timid with their voice. And I, not all the time, but for a lot of clients, it relates to voice. It relates to getting to a spot where they feel empowered using it, because they've been told all the time to shut the hell up. They've been told so often that, you know, they have no value, and therefore they can't really communicate and create in a way that feels freeing to them. So when you breathe in and out, create some sound with that. Enjoy, like, you know, feel, it's amazing. It's so amazing. Like, why are we holding ourselves back?
Well,
like, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, the first thing that you do is you take your breath when you come into this world, and the last thing you do is take a breath when you leave. You let your breath out.
And
But
you do when you first enter into the world?
Yeah.
You cry.
And so,
you make noise.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Then you start to make the noise. Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, because that's how you communicate. You communicate through your voice. And it's just, and that beautiful vibration. And it's so freeing. And I remember when I was a child, I was the shyest kid you ever want to meet. Never spoke, went to school all day long, didn't say a word. And then I would get home, and my sister, that is like, she's like 6 years older than me, I would nonstop from the minute my toe hit the earth until I got back off the bus, tell her the whole story. And bless her little heart, she would listen. Most of the time. She was a teenager, so sometimes she'd be looking off, and I'd be like, "You're not listening to me." But you need that voice. You need it. And that time with my sister, that was love that she showed me, because she knew that I needed that. And you know, it kind of makes me tear up to think about it, because she was such a blessing to me and so kind. You know, because there's 5 of us, and I was the second to the youngest. She could have been off with her friends. She didn't have to be sitting there listening to me. And I think that's a blessing.
But I couldn't agree more with you guys. When I channel, they tone through me, and that was my first sort of introduction to the power of and the energy of one's voice. And so I just want to, for those of you who are watching, if we're talking about things that you're not familiar with, please feel free to ask questions. The main takeaway for this section is just breathe. Just, that's the main takeaway. Just breathe.
Or deep breathing.
Yeah, but toning is huge, and they don't like, yes, Om is good and it's wonderful. For me, my toning is never me toning. They always tone through me. Even like when I was doing my healing today, half of what I'm doing is toning different tones that creates different frequencies, that creates energetic shifts in my client's chakric system and field. But it's, so that's another part of, like Daken, you were talking earlier about our creation and how this is creative, because you're literally generating an energetic frequency that can go forth and manifest a molecular and electromagnetic change in whatever it's directed at. That's why if you pray over food, you know, by blessing the food and showing love and gratitude to your food, that's speaking that and, you know, speaking that love and gratitude changes the energy of your food, and that is creation. It's an enormous, we're so much more powerful than we think. And we tend to, like Bonnie, you were talking about that victim mentality. This is gonna be, we're gonna get some angry faces.
That's all right. We're gonna love them anyway.
Yeah, we just send them love.
But there are no such things as victims, and that is one of the hardest spiritual concepts for people to wrap their brains around, and I get it. It because you don't remember signing up for this. You don't remember agreeing to any of your experiences. You don't remember agreeing to going through traumatic things so that you could learn to forgive, so that you could, you know, clear that same energy from 5 lifetimes ago by having it presented to you again. And because you don't remember it, you don't think you agreed to it, so it feels like you're a victim.
Yeah.
But when you're in that victim mentality and you think it's happening to you instead of something that you agreed to in order to create healing and moving forward, you completely disempower yourself, and you take away your God-given sovereign power to energetically and emotionally and physically change yourself by taking control over your own healing. Because like we were talking before we got on, well, actually, no, Daken, you were bringing it on air. All healing is self-healing. No matter that, doesn't matter the modality, every modality is, all healing is self-healing. And so when you can say, I agreed to this before I incarnated. I don't have to have remembered that, but I chose this, and I chose it for a reason. And I know that it's a blessing, and I know that it's an opportunity. And so I'm going to use it for the reason why I manifested it, why I agreed to it. Then you're in control. You're in the driver's seat, and you're no longer just a hapless, you know, victim of circumstance and feeling like there's nothing you can do about it. You are always in control. You are an all-powerful being of divine white light, and nothing and no one has power over you save that which you allow. And all you have to say is, you have no power over me. I am a sovereign being, and I got this.
If people are having trouble, that was beautifully stated.
Yes.
People having trouble being able to, you know, transcend or transmute the victim card, you know, feeling like a victim all the time, I would ask you all, whoever feel that, just to say thank you. If you're grateful for what you experienced, which may seem very difficult, especially depending on the severity of how you look at what you experienced, you know, there's people that have been physically abused. There's people that have been literally like put in cages. You know, there's horrible, horrible things that people have experienced. And it's like, how in the hell would I say thank you for that, or to be grateful for that? Don't get me wrong. I know how that sounds, but I'm still asking you anyway to give it that shot and see what happens as a result of that. And it's what, Jennifer, what you just said, you become empowered. It's like, once you get to a spot where you can look at something that was traumatic or just uncomfortable, you know, something that you didn't really want to deal with or have, you know, feel like was put on you by external forces. Once you say thank you, you literally just took all your power back. Thank you for letting me experience that. And the shift takes place. It may not be immediate depending on what you went through, but it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. And if you stick with the gratitude aspect, you become something where you can step into a new version of you, where you have basically a level of freedom that you couldn't experience before, because you let yourself stick in the lower vibration of victim. So yeah, it's just say thank you, find gratitude in it. Some of the scariest situations that I've been in, and I've been in a few, and some were very painful, like we all experience as human beings. Once I said thank you, completely shifted within the same terror that was there just a second ago. You know, it was like a 30-minute ordeal, and within 10 minutes I said, oh my God, thank you for letting me feel this. And then what looked like this negative external force became like this thing that was like here to help me almost. Sounds so bizarre.
It's like it's happening for you, not to you.
Exactly.
You have to shift your mindset.
Yeah.
That it's, and even if it's the most horrible thing you could think of, you have to think about what good came out of that. You know, it made you a stronger person, or you help people that's been through that. You have that in your heart to have compassion for someone else who's been through the same wounding as what you've been through. You understand them completely. So you have to look at what's good about it, and then allow what's the lower energy that's not helping you and serving you allow that to be released into the light so that you can move forward and take the wisdom and let the pain fall away.
Yes. Because then you're not, when you do that, you're not looking at the kind of hamster wheeling in the, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. It hurts. It hurts. It's like being in a hamster wheel. You never shift out of it until you can say, thank you. This is an opportunity. This is truly an opportunity. And when you can look at everything that we would judge as being, I prefer to say non-preferred. Instead of saying bad, it was something you would have preferred not to have happened. So it was a non-preferred experience. Yeah. When you can remember that all experiences are blessings and opportunities, it's just your non-preferred experiences are even bigger, because those are the ones where the greatest level of growth and expansion can come from. And you can say, okay, that sucked, but I'm so grateful that it happened now. Now I know that it's an opportunity. So why did it happen? What opportunity is being presented to me? What can I let go of? What can I learn? What can I heal? What can I release? Once you start asking those questions because you've gotten to a state of gratitude and recognizing it as an opportunity, you're like, it's in the past. You're now on future healing mode, and you're off the hamster wheel and you're moving forward. That's where you get that forward momentum. Yeah,
because it's like before you get off the hamster wheel, all you're doing is poking the wound. You just keep going back around, poke, 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 poke. It's never going to heal if you keep doing that.
Nope.
You know? You have to take the steps to release yourself from that pain.
Yes.
Sometimes you also have to look at some of the past things that you've learned and basically retrain yourself on how to think and kind of detach yourself from those lessons that you've learned, but by certain people or through society, to become the victim and to stay the victim. And that's when you move forward, and you have to learn how to move forward and move through those things to not become the victim in everything all the time anymore, in many different levels of your life. And we want to teach our children. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that we don't keep putting forth into the future those old ways. And that's what this is all about, is to change those things that we have. We want to make sure that we don't keep doing this. I'm just put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you touched on that. Yes.
I want to read what Lori says. She says, I lost a child at 6 days of age. Once I was totally thankful for those 6 days with her. Spirit showed me how her life purpose was completed in 6 days. She brought my father-in-law back to him. What a beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that, Lori.
Yeah.
It just blessed my heart. And that's the hardest thing to see in a tragedy like that. It's hard to see that. But she finally saw that and healed and understood what she was here for.
Wow.
That's so amazing.
So much for sharing that. That is an absolute perfect example of what we're talking about. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
There's a lot of great comments. Patrick earlier, he was talking about sound with hum at 528 frequency and 432, and there's a wonderful list of solfeggio frequencies. And he's talking about grounding and the importance of grounding and starting with your root chakra. Although when my guides heal people, they always start with the crown and go down. I don't know why, that's just what they do. Lindsay says it gives you back your control, or it gives you back control. Absolutely, that is exactly what it does. And she said it's like getting the mushroom and growing bigger in Mario. Yes,
I love it.
Yeah. Bling, bling, bling. I can't even do the sounds from that game, but I freaking love it. That was great. That was so great. And Patrick says, should have died 4 years ago, Daken, and it's taken some time, but I am now thankful for it. And he says, went from farming animals to now vegan. And Adam is here. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
He says, I'm glad I made it to see this part. I know better, but was cloudy after some stuff that happened to me today. I really need to say thank you for it. I will now slap my own wrist. That's
Oh,
fantastic.
oh,
Yeah.
look at the rainbow showed up on my throat there.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
saw
look at that.
that.
Crystal's in the window, does that.
I want to say something about the toning and stuff. I tend to really, I have a hard time getting out, like Daken, like you were talking about. I'm one of those ones in the class going, but I
That used to be me.
and if I'm in the car, damn it, I'm singing at the top of my lungs and I don't care who's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the
my
same.
way. That's my way. And actually I was like, and I was actually in choir and stuff all growing up, and
Me
and
too.
that's my way. Like, it doesn't always feel comfortable. I'm even with Aurora doing stuff, I'm like, I just can't do it in front of people. But singing, that is the way I kind of tone. So I'm just going to put it that way. So it doesn't always have to be a specific way. Not everything's comfortable for everybody. Like, that one isn't comfortable. Daken, so I probably need to go to your class so you can like just make me do it.
Yeah, you know what? My daughter played the clarinet, and it really confused her one time because the song was so beautiful. She was you got to breathe through it to play it, and then all of a sudden tears started coming down her cheeks, and she was like, I don't know why I was so moved by that. And I go, because it was beautiful, and you were intertwining your breath within that beautiful vibration, and it made your soul happy. And she goes, boy, I really love that. She said, it really surprised her, though. It took her off. But you just don't realize what the breath can do.
Yeah.
And, you know, bring you complete joy and happiness,
Yeah.
you know, and mixing it with vibration. And there's a lot of binary beats and stuff on there that you could go when you're not feeling well, that you could go on YouTube and just go and listen. And it's all specific. You can find something for just about everything that's bothering you, and it even has emotional healing. So I mean, I suggest those a lot to people because it really helps a lot to get those vibrations going through your body and waking up your cells and your you know DNA and everything. So yeah.
And Kathy, I'm right there with you, cranking up my oldies or my, musical soundtracks or whatever I'm in the mood for that day. And like, sorry, cars around me, you're just gonna have to belt out Jesus Christ Superstar today. But yeah, you don't have to do the toning. They just tone through me. And so Kathy and all y'all, now you guys know why I do all of my sessions remotely and not on the phone, because they'll both go deaf. And also I get self-conscious because it's so friggin' loud when they tone through me, and it can be super awkward. So Kathy, you and I apparently need to take one of Daken's classes.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're gonna come to the class, all three of us.
Bonnie and Kathy, let's go.
Yeah, because I get embarrassed because a lot of times when I'm doing the meditations and I'm channeling, I can hear the light language, and I'm not bringing it through because it doesn't sound like words. You know, you feel it more than it means anything. And so and then I had one of the people in the meditation group call me out and goes, I hear the mother language coming in and English comes out of your mouth. I'm like, yeah. Sorry.
Now, Bonnie,
but you're getting the energy, you're getting the vibration.
Yeah. Do you feel guided to ultimately speak that light language? Because a lot of people do that.
Yes.
I can't do it.
I do it when I'm by myself. It sounds like gibberish.
Yeah.
But eventually I think right now it's just the beginning. That's one of the new gifts we were talking about. Something new that's turning on now.
Yeah.
And it just, I'll be by myself and I start jibber jabbering, and then my daughter will come out and she'll go, Mom, put your weird away. What is that?
No.
And I'll go, I don't know, I'm just being goofy because I really don't know what it is right now. It's a new gift that's kind of, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but you know what? You have to, like with any gift, you have to play with it and let it be awkward and uncomfortable at first. Because my God, with me learning how to chant, the first time Ian spoke through me, he was trying to say his name, and it was yeah, 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 and then he would go through the vowel sounds. Oh, 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 e, 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 and then he would practice the consonants because he'd never spoken through a human before. So talk about friggin' awkward and gibberish, Bonnie. Trust me, I know.
Well,
So-
they started with the tones, like what you're doing. They're still doing that. Yeah.
Yep.
They're still doing that. And the very first time we were doing a play session together, we call that when all of us get together to do healing together. Kathy and I and Robin was doing something, and they were like tone, and I'm like, they're talking. I said, you guys, they want me to tone. I start going, whoa.
Daken, we're gonna have a class with us, and you're gonna have hands down the weirdest but most awesome class you've ever had.
I want to come.
You're gonna get us all to be comfortable with our weirdness.
All those sounds that come out, like you're saying, like a light language. I mean, there's plenty of times that I'm speaking gibberish, and I know that there's code in there without. It's probably more powerful than just words themselves. Like words have a very tight and defined meaning that we all agree on, right? We agree on what language means. Now, when something comes out that's pure and just sound without a meaning that everyone understands fully, like in the present moment, there's something that's happening on a whole nother level to us in terms of raising vibration or shifting some things out of us that don't need to be there anymore. I think it's incredibly powerful when that stuff comes through and we're, acting as like the channel or the catalyst for bringing it into someone's space.
I noticed today, I was doing a session with someone, and every time Jesus spoke, my voice vibrated because I was repeating what he was saying, and my voice was going, blah, 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 and I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. But I have a client in trance, so I got to keep just going. And then afterwards, I was saying to him, when they was saying your name, it was so weird. Because the love would vibrate through my voice. And he goes, yeah. He goes, it wasn't you saying that for sure.
You right out of my mouth. I'm like, that's called channeling, because that's what first happened to me. I remember when I was first toning, because he would make a lot of sounds for me before he could say words. And I remember saying, it doesn't sound like my voice, because it would almost sound digital, because it was like my voice with another voice overlay, which is really friggin' weird.
Yeah.
And so when you said, I'm like, oh, I know what that is. So Bonnie.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden your tone changed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it was like vibrating, and I was like, oh my God, I could feel the love just coming out of my throat.
Yes.
And
it almost feels like, well, for me, it feels like someone, when he first started, it felt like someone was like manipulating my throat, my vocal cords. Like literally, I could tell when he wanted to talk, because there would be a pressure in my vocal cords. And it was like, you're gonna talk now. And it would or make sounds, but that vibration is like, I think, a part of that. So
right. And I've started noticing that I'll go this way when I'm connecting and I'm doing the meditation.
yeah.
But the minute someone wants to talk, it starts coming this way. I start moving forward.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, we're just learning all these new cool things that are just coming out of nowhere in this energy, in this beautiful energy that we're living in. So yeah, I mean, it's just really, really exciting.
Yeah.
It feels like the healing's almost going faster now, and the manifestation's super fast. As a matter of fact, the other day, one thing that was new for me was I've done a lot of sessions recently, but one person, I actually cleared one thing and another thing popped up instantly. And I was like, whoa. And it was really strong pain. And I was like, what is going on? And I heard, it's like that instant, it's like they had the time. I was there with them. It was time to clear one thing, and then we had to clear the next thing, instead of before, like we would have been like, had a couple months in between, but no, they were like, boom, 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 all these things at once. And I was like, wow. So that's really new, where it's like, I helped her clear the one thing, and boom, instantly had this excruciating.
It's like an attunement. It's like an attunement.
Yeah.
And then they go through a whole clearing after that too.
Yeah.
They have to drink lots of water, sleep, they're exhausted. Yeah, it's like you're doing attunement every time you do something like that. It's really
amazing. So, but we were able to get that, because it was like her shoulder that hurt, and it was like I was like, oh no, like, are you okay? Like, it was excruciating. And then we worked on it for like about 5-10 minutes, and she said it was completely gone. It's like, wow. So it's kind of cool how things are just instantly like moving through now so much quicker than they did before. And how people who are coming up now are learning faster than even I did,
Yeah.
the information's coming.
Fast. You were fast.
And I was fast, super fast.
Just like you turned on your light switch, and the next thing you know, she was down there, and you're like, "Whoa, look what she can do!" How cool is that? Oh my God!
So much
hit the ground running. I know.
I think that's because and when we look at these things as not a chore, but it's actually, it can be so much fun to, it's so much fun. That's why this is so much fun to get together with you guys and talk about it, because it's not dark and dreary. Even if we are bringing up dark, dreary things, it's like, okay, let's clear them, let's work through them. And then you get to the fun part. Woohoo! Then you get to go, a little bit farther, do that little hop. It's like they're showing me the little, what was that? Like a hopscotch forward. You're going to just keep moving forward. And then every time you do that, it's like more doors open, more veils come down. You become more open to get more information and all that stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
We kind of took over the conversation there. Would you like to?
Sorry,
Daken.
Oh no,
You're just like.
I've been
Yeah.
accelerating super fast though, and because people are more open to it. People are naturally more open to it. There's so much more conversation like this that's happening. It's so much more available. The internet provides a lot of access to things that weren't possible earlier. The energy on the planet has completely shifted. We're in the feminine age of energy right now. So people are just like taking it all in, and they're like, what's going on here? And because of that, whatever can be released, it's like they're open, whatever bubbles up after you release something, they're ready right then and there to release more things. I did a session like, what's today? Tuesday? It was Friday last week. And they just texted me like, that was amazing. And I can't believe how I feel, like letting go of all this anxiety. And I worked with her son, and her son was awesome. Just an amazing little guy that had so much available with what he can bring, like knowledge for us, in terms of like the collective consciousness. And she's like, let's do another session. I'm ready. I feel ready for it. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone, it seems like much more open to rapid progression in allowing themselves to open up and see what else is out there for them.
Yeah, the layers are peeling off really quickly.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, it used to be with the Akashic Records, you had to go in, do one lifetime, and they go through all this craziness one at a time, and then you'd have to heal from that, and then you go in and you do some. Now you go in, and whatever the seed is that was planted, that started like the roots all the way up to now, whatever that is, it heals everything connected to it. So like you heal a whole section, and I don't know how many aspects all at once when you do it. So it's just really amazing, really amazing.
And what I find too, and I think you guys would probably agree with this, is that whenever any of us does our own healing or our clients receive a healing, because we're all connected, and we're all connected via, the crystalline grid of the planet, and we're all one, when any one of us elevates in consciousness that much more from any healing that is done, everyone goes up.
Yeah.
So it's not like one person got a healing, the planet, which then the energy got the healing, which then reverberates out into the cosmos. And so all of the energies and entities and the beings out there are paying attention, and they feel it. It's just fascinating because people don't realize the impact that we little humans have here. It's freaking enormous. This earthly experiment is it's pretty freaking awesome, and I think I'm using the word awesome in the proper way.
Well, remember, we all signed up to be here at this time specifically because we wanted to be here at this time.
Yes.
There are, when I said earlier, when we first started talking about how the kids that are here 17 years and younger,
Mhm.
When we tap, like the four of us, when we have the honor and the privilege to be able to work with a young child and to feel what they are and where they came from,
Yeah.
I tell parents all the time, and of course the kids themselves, like it is absolutely amazing to think that these kids, with where they were in terms of their conscious experience before coming into being human, they were on so much higher levels of vibration. To think that they chose to come here and experience what we're going through here is a perfect example of how important the rest of consciousness views this experiment, this playtime that we have here right now. I always say, like, this is a big sandbox. The earth is just a massive sandbox. We're children of consciousness having this beautiful experience playing. And if you can't see it as playing, don't take it so hard. It's okay.
Yes.
But ultimately we're big kids in a sandbox. And the more that we can see it from that viewpoint and from that perspective, the more exciting this transition is going to be. And because of what we're able to do, it confirms to me when I work with kids and I see where they were and that they chose to be here. It's like, man, we're in a really lucky position right now with regards to what we get to play with moving forward.
Oh
It's
God.
Oh yeah.
incredible.
Oh yeah.
Rudy,
We,
feeling
we,
it.
we think we've seen something now. Wait till the future comes. You know what I mean? Wait till, oh my gosh.
It's
That's
amazing.
just the beginning.
It's amazing.
I
I'm liking it. Hmm?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll say this real quick. The way that I explain it is, imagine that you're able to quantify all of the knowledge and experience that you have as an individual. And now, within like a snap of the fingers, you now have that same wealth of knowledge for millions of people on the planet. You have not only just your experience, but it's collective experience of all these other people. And it's instantaneous. It's not like you have to access it like you would on the internet to find out some, paragraph of information or a video that helps explain it all. You have it all within you completely. It's all there accessible. So imagine like your knowledge amplified by a million.
Yeah. All you have to do is think the question and you know the answer almost
Anything
instantly.
here for you. Exactly. Yeah.
Look at that beautiful little baby she's holding.
Believe
Yeah.
she's ripping my face off.
Ooh.
Let's do this. Oh, yeah, there she goes.
Oh, she's done.
I am gonna take that, and I'm so grateful for that moment. Oh my God, that she never lets me do it.
Oh, she wanted some screen
And
time.
you even have it on film.
Yeah.
I know. See, look.
Yeah.
I liken this incarnating to putting on a play and playing different roles, and people play different roles, and we agree, we sign up to the roles that we play for each other. And so that's kind of like the sandbox sort of thing. I liken it to a play, and so it makes it a lot easier to, if someone has hurt you, it puts it back into perspective. Well, we agreed to this play. We agreed to put on this performance, and you agreed to play that role for me. So obviously, I'm not a victim here. So why did we make this agreement? And it just brings it right back to that self-empowerment. It makes it so it is easier, I think, to work through things because you aren't taking it so seriously.
And personally.
And personally,
Right.
Yeah, and personally. Yep.
totally.
Well, like I had said to a client once that your worst enemy loves you the most because they took the part, they love you so much that they took the horrible part and they're coming down here to poke at you like that. And so, it's just be grateful that they chose to help you with that. They chose to, they're trying to help you ascend and to be a better person. And at least you didn't get that part, at least you didn't have to be the meanie who's poking at you. And, that's the way you look at it. Because I had someone whose mother was so mean, and I was like, she took the hard part. She took the hardest part. Because how could you? Because once you go to the other side, there's nothing but love. And so that has to be the most uncomfortable, weird feeling to live your whole life unhappy and hateful to other people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely not the most optimal time to come in, but we grow spiritually from so much from the more trauma we go through here, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But we come out so much more wise after all of that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Especially when you go back and help yourself
Yeah.
the way we all can, the way that we
Yeah.
can help people do that.
Yeah.
Daken, why don't you talk about how people can get a hold of you and your classes and all of that stuff too?
Yeah, I have a website, amindfulstudio.com. And on Facebook, I have a Mindful Studio with Daken Tul. So you can always check that out. You can sign up for things online through my website, and you can get in contact with me through Facebook. I'm also happy to give my number. Texting me directly is probably the best way to get me. And my number is 631-672-9552. Feel free to text me if you're interested of setting up a session with me or finding out about classes. Right now, I'm only doing classwork at Elements, which is a beautiful store in downtown Kalamazoo. So you can take a look at that. It's Wednesdays from 6 until 7 o'clock. Looking to offer it online. We're doing Facebook Live like this right now, but I want to be able to do something with Zoom. We're getting ready to set that up. So, and I would love, like I said earlier, to come to the shop. Are you guys still having stuff in person with people coming into the?
Kathy and I are still doing things at Choices Unlimited
Yep.
and
Yep.
Kalamazoo. Yeah.
Yep.
And on Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kathleen travels all up and down Michigan.
I go all over Michigan now. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm usually in Kalamazoo or I'm on Zoom.
Gotcha. That's great. Yeah, I'd love to do something at Choices maybe if you guys are up for it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That would be fun.
That'd be cool.
That'd be fun. Lindsay asked if you could say your Facebook page again.
Oh, sure. It's a Mindful Studio with Daken Tul.
We'll put a link too in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to all of us in the comments too.
Very cool.
And Angel Cork said bitter or better for sure. It's like that could be like the whole summary of a lot of our conversation today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun today, you guys.
Yes.
In life, be thankful for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but when I think Daken was talking about that a little bit, when all of us get together, even anybody, but especially light workers, when we work in the realms that we work in, we kind of like activate each other's energy and raise the energy. And thank you so much for helping me raise energy. Yeah, we were like
really goofy.
Yeah. Goofy is the fun part though, because the more you're having fun, the more energy you're raising. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
The more silly we are, the more childlike we are, honestly, the higher the vibration goes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Today was amazing. It was so much
delighted and explore every avenue, check it all out, take it all in, find a space where you can marvel at every moment that you experience. If you can do that, you're done.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always telling when they say they can't look in the mirror, I always tell them, look in the mirror and remember that little baby who looked in the mirror and giggled and loved that little face because nobody told you not to. And you just felt the unconditional love. That's how you do that.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's really powerful because loving yourself is the hardest part. So if you can come to a point where you can, whether it's mirror work or in meditation where you see your child self or you see your adult self, and you can give that version of you a hug and say, I love you so much. You are whole and perfect just exactly as you are, and you don't need to change. And people have had profound experiences with that. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's end on that. That was beautiful.
All right.
It's been like 2 hours.
So what's our words to end? I'm ending in love.
Compassion.
Integrity.
I'm going to say gratitude and absolutely freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
May the light travel with this video.
Yes.
Everywhere it goes, sending love.
So
So
one of
it
these.
is.
All right.
And
Thank
so it is. Love you all.
Yep.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for
Thanks
coming
so much
on.
for
Bye-bye.